Welcome back. 7:25 on the East Coast. More than a dozen emails that Hillary Clinton sent to a longtime advisor as Secretary of State suggest that they were not, quote, unsolicited, as she has claimed. The emails to Sidney Blumenthal were not turned over by the State Department, but were discovered when he submitted them to the House Select Committee on Benghazi. Clinton repeatedly says, quote, keep them coming. She also appears to try to cover up her correspondence to Blumenthal. For one email, Clinton asks longtime aide Huma Abedin, quote, can you print for me without any identifiers? And in March of 2012, Clinton responded to an email
The Clintons are just amazing. They are just amazing. You go back, Caddy, to her UN press conference. You go back to her UN press conference, and that story has been shredded like Swiss cheese. It just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah.
Does it, Lawrence? Does it? Does it? Look at Lawrence. You have dealt with the Clintons for a long time. I get that frustrated look in your eye. The rules that apply to every other politician does not apply to the politician.
Some good way to explain what she meant when she said
no identifiers.
She's turned over all of the relevant State Department emails, and everything else on there was just, you know, wedding stuff.
There's just no way.
Can you give me some time?
Yeah.
Is there a commercial break coming up where I can work?
We do.
So you can go over your legalese.
Disclosure defense and defend every word of that statement.
It's when you ask for an email with no identifiers. That's the thing. It's when you kind of say, listen, I don't want any trace of this. Can I have it, but can
Depends
we...
on the meaning of the word relevant.
So anyway, keep...
Okay.
Well, okay. Lawrence is trying to figure this out. Why don't you keep reading?
Okay, I'll buy him a little more time, Lawrence. Okay.
Read slowly.
Okay, so in March of 2012, how are we doing, Lawrence? Clinton responded to an email saying this, quote, this strains credulity based on what I know. Any more info about it? Blumenthal replied, quote, we'll seek more intel. A Clinton campaign spokesman says in part, quote, Mr. Blumenthal began emailing of his own accord. Polite acknowledgements are not tantamount to solicitation. And I think that any reasonable person who has ever had an email exchange would agree. Particularly if there are no identifiers attached.
Yes, could you keep sending these, yes, and I will politely ask that they be
come anonymously
without identifiers. I mean, we have back and forth. We have that exchange all the time.
All the time. Right here, I scratch out the identifiers.
on everything.
You, Joe. It get me in a lot of trouble.
I know.
Knowing that we email all the time.
Exactly. It just scratches.
Look, I mean, I think.
Do you have an answer? Or do we need to go to commercial break?
Partial. Okay. Here's my partial defense. I think what they're saying about the contents of the email is reasonable. I don't think there's any, big smoking gun in there. And they removed the identifiers. Probably indicates she wanted this thought, whatever it was, on a piece of paper so she could show someone else and say, what do you think about this? But look, it goes back to the original issue, which is the proper custodial preservation of State Department emails, and all of the rules and protocols on that were violated. There's no question about it. It was very clearly in violation. And so then, after the violation is made, when she's a candidate for president, Hillary Clinton says, I have now turned over all State Department emails, all of them. And the only stuff I didn't turn over after my lawyers went through the server and checked it all was personal stuff involving weddings and material like that. What we've now discovered is that statement, as she said it, is not true. That's the thing that we've discovered is not true. How much that actually means and what is the content of the stuff that she didn't turn over, so far, in what we've seen there, there's nothing truly true.
And we won't know, unfortunately,
and you're never going to know.
Because she wiped out the server, which I think is the great
and if you care at all about the Freedom of Information Act, which is what liberals should care about here, that was an absolutely unacceptable choice from the start that she used an email system that and then that she deleted it. That was to contradict the Freedom of Information Act, Americans' freedom, the press freedom to be able to request these kinds of documents. That's what it was about.